Jerry West, Hall of Famer, Clippers special consultant, former Warriors executive, and former Clippers GM, former Laker GM. Hi, Jerry. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How excited are you?
Well, it was a pretty good Friday night, I guess, a couple of days ago, few days ago for the Clippers, and obviously it brought a lot of excitement, I think, to everyone involved in acquiring the two players that we acquired. So, pretty special day for Southern California basketball, particularly with the two guys that the Lakers have, LeBron and Anthony. So, been a pretty cool time for basketball in Southern California.
What role did you play in bringing Kawhi Leonard to town?
Very small, okay? I just had a voice. Our front office is really terrific, okay? And they all behind us scenes things, Lawrence Franks, Michael Winger, and Trent Redden, they were really on top of this thing the whole way. And when you in this league today, it's just so different, Dan. The players are free to move around. Agents, obviously, and players contribute where they go. And I've never seen anything like it where players can recruit other players. But I guess it's the modern day NBA, and I think it's an awkward situation when you're in these positions to have an opportunity to maybe acquire a player like the ones we've talked about. And more importantly, for the team that gets them, it really does wonders for a franchise. It's just hard to describe the excitement within the Clipper organization. I'm sure the Laker organization also.
But when you get Kawhi, then how long after do you realize, or is getting Kawhi, hinging on getting Paul George as well? Like, how did those two, how did they connect?
Well, obviously, I think they have great admiration for each other's game, and I try to be completely fair and honest to all the players in the league, but I honestly think they're the two best way players in basketball, and to get them on one night, as I say, is pretty remarkable. In our front office, Lawrence, Michael, and Trent Redden, they all contributed greatly to it. But those players talked. And I'm not sure that maybe if Kawhi had some influence on Paul, that we would have been able to make a deal with Oklahoma City. And obviously we paid a big price, and Oklahoma City should be, I guess, exciting about their future now. But it was a remarkable night, and to say it, not to try to defer anything to the other teams involved, but certainly the players helped today.
You don't want any credit for this, do you?
Oh, no, not at all. And I should not get very little at all. I've gotten far too much credit in my life, Dan. I really have. And I think one of the things I enjoy about being here, and obviously this is going to be my final stop in my basketball life, is Steve Ballmer has really put together an unbelievably terrific organization. He spared no expense. It's a really fun place to be. There's not ego-driven at all, and it's just a fun place to be. And he's got an awful lot of basketball people over there. And again, I'm just happy to be such a small part of it, to be honest with you.
Are you prouder of your basketball playing career or what you did in the front office?
Dan, I really never looked at my life like that at all. It's just something I've seemed to have a love for, and I've been able to do it for a long time, have a life in basketball, and most people are not that fortunate, and particularly some of the older players who didn't give a chance. Started with Jerry Buss, who gave me an opportunity here in Los Angeles to work in the front office, and things went well during that time, and then the late Mike Heisley and also late Jerry Buss, late Mike Heisley in Memphis, gave me an opportunity to do something that was probably the most fun time of my life because they hadn't had much success, and more importantly, I think the opportunity to work with someone like Mike Heisley, and then being a consultant with the Warriors and the success they had up there, and watch how that organization is going now. And then also with Steve here in Los Angeles, he's just a great owner and one of the nicest men I've ever been around in my life. I've never seen a person like this with this success that it's just remarkable how even-keeled he is. If people knew how philanthropic he was, he keeps all that stuff quiet. I guess he will get mad at me for mentioning it, but but he's just a remarkable man himself.
When you go to dinner, do you ever pick up the check with Steve Ballmer?
I would pick up the check with anyone, Dan, and I know you're a very rich guy, so I would be happy to pick your check up.
I like that. But Steve Ballmer's crazy rich, though, Jerry.
Well, he's again, you'd never know it. I think that's one of the charming things about him, and I think people always ask me what he's like, and I said he's just like you and I, a normal. I've never seen he's willing to spend on players. He's willing to spend on personnel within the front office. And as I mentioned before, I've never been around any organization that is better than this one. That's for sure. I'm very similar to Steve Ballmer, except for he has one more team than I do and 2 more Jets than I do, Jerry. So we're really, really, really. But I have my hair. So. Well, when you're around him, I think you don't really realize the totality of what he has, because there's nothing ostentatious about him at all, Dan. And I think that's what makes it so much fun to be around him. But as I say, he and his wife are 2 remarkable people, and to be involved with them, he's very straightforward. There's nothing is phony about him at all, and he's a busy man. He'll fly down to a game, and he'll fly home the next day or that night. He flew to Las Vegas for I think the owners' meeting, and then back home, and then back over to the Summer League game. So he's very passionate about what he does also.
He's Jerry West joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Are duos good for the NBA?
If they're great ones, absolutely. If they're bad ones, no. And, when you're talking about, here in Los Angeles, people always put players in their place in the league. There's arguably 4 of the best top 7 players in basketball on respective teams. So I think the games here in Los Angeles now are going to be fun. Anxious to watch them get after each other, and it will be more like the playoffs every game we play them, I'm sure.
Who would you have liked to have teamed up with in your career if you had that opportunity? One player.
I had a chance to team up with one incredible player when we were younger, Elgin Baylor. Had a chance to team up with another one, and Wilt Chamberlain, and probably the one that I've had incredible passion for not only as a person but as a player is Bill Russell. I think he would have been fun to play for, because he brought an element to the game that was about winning, the greatest winner we've ever seen in our league, and he was just a guy who kind of flew under the radar. But he had a regal-like effect on the game. He was just incredible, and more importantly, a friend and someone that I've greatly admired for all these years.
Did you ever hang out with Wilt Chamberlain socially?
Not socially, but on the road, we were together a lot after games and stuff like that. I remember one time he took me to Small's Paradise in Harlem, which was an unbelievable experience, to be honest with you. But most of the time, we had dinner together a lot in our rooms. Didn't go out very much when we were playing, and he was a uniquely different person. And I'd say I had a chance to play with a lot of great players. But I think the thing that many times in your life that will be like indelible memories that you have are the times you spent with him away from the court. That to me really defines who people really are. And a lot of times people look at players and they just see what they accomplish on the court, but the most important thing is what they've accomplished away from the court. And he's just a good guy, and different but a good. And of course Elgin was the best of the best.
I think there was a season when you averaged 31, Wilt averaged 27, and Elgin averaged 24 or 25. Does that sound about right?
Well, as I say, I never forget there was a cover on a sports magazine at that point in time, and they were talking about this trio of all-stars, and, it would be a super team. It wasn't a super team. It was a team that was really good, but for some reason we were never able to accomplish what everyone wants to accomplish as a player. and that's to win a championship. And we weren't able to do that together. Elgin retired when 1971-72 season, and we went on to win a championship like that year. And without him, frankly, it's one of the saddest things I've ever had to do, to watch somebody that not only I loved as a person, but he was one of the great people that you'd ever want to be around. Just a wonderful person, no pretense to him. He was who he was. Just a great player, and as I mentioned, a wonderful friend.
Do you think you appreciated the winning as much as you hated the losing? Like when you win a championship, you kind of expect that, but it's the losing that you don't expect.
Well, to say, Dan, I been involved in 21 NBA finals, okay, both as a player and as an executive, and that's a lot. And you get to the point sometimes when you want to win so bad that it's like a nightmare when you don't win, because you give so much, and people don't realize the stress and pressure you feel at that point in time, because you're not only playing for the team, you're really playing for the fans in the city that you're involved in. And community pride is something that, I look at the Green Bay Packers, for instance, a small city and a very small city that's won world championships and more than one. And you see that. You see in a big city in New England, in Boston area, the Patriots, they've had a different kind of run. And so all of these teams, regardless of where they are, it's about community pride. And I think in a smaller community, there's probably a lot more community pride, but people do not realize just how much players want to win and how sad it is. And I've said it many times before, but there's a lot more incredible stories in a loser's locker room, and there's the elation in winning a championship.
I saw where Rob Pelinka said that, basically winning a championship or it's not a successful season. I mean, that.
Well, Rob is very eloquent, of course, and he says what he says. But it's difficult, and the Lakers have won a lot. It puts enormous pressure on teams to have the expectation anyway, because Las Vegas does that to you, and the fans betting. But as I say, I don't think I would ever say that in my life. It's just not who I am. But the expectation should be very high over there.
Can you tell? Did you meet Kawhi Leonard? I've never really. I haven't interviewed him. I haven't seen him interviewed that much. Like he's a mystery, Jerry. What was he like in person?
Well, Dan, I never met him before until the meeting we had with him, and he's a wonderful person. He really is. He's funny, charming. I think he's a great player, Dan. He might be the best two-way player in basketball. And when you're around him, you don't even feel that. He's just quiet. It's hard to describe, but I've always been a great fan of his, and also Paul George, of course. But to have them two on one side is pretty special. And as I say, in Los Angeles, it should be fun when these teams play each other. It'll be like a playoff atmosphere, and the city will probably really respond to it. But he's a great guy. He's just quiet, and it's super to have him on our side for a while.
Yeah, it's interesting, the personality that he kind of fits the Clippers' personality. I don't, whereas if you go to the Lakers, I think you have to have a certain personality, or we expect a certain personality. Does that seem fair, or does that sound right?
Not really. I think anyone can fit in anywhere in this league. Just be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. We have players in this league that have big personalities. We have other teams where these players have these incredible, a little bit of extra gold dust sprinkled on them, and it shows. But also, I like these quiet assassins myself.
Yeah, I said at the beginning, I don't know if you called and I was a front office executive, I don't know if I'd take your call, Jerry.
Well, I don't do that anymore.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I have some really great people I work with. As I mentioned, Lawrence Franks is just incredible. I've never seen anyone work as hard as him in my life. Trent Redden, he turned down an opportunity down in Memphis New Orleans, to be the general manager, stay with us. A great guy. And the brains in our organization, I said I always kid him about how smart he is. Michael Winger, he's just done a great job for us also. So it's fun to be part of that. And as I say, I do have a voice, but I'm not the one who's calling people. But as I say, everyone's excited about what we've done. We have to go out and prove it on the court. We have a tremendous bench also, a tremendous. If you look at the lineup we can put out there, you talking about defensive players, my goodness, we got a bunch of them. Yeah. And it should be a fun year for all.
I just can't imagine did you ever feel sorry for Charlotte where you called up and said, you know what, we're going to trade Vlade and we would like Kobe? I mean, come on, you had to know.
Well, I think we all have favorite players in the draft, and to me, he was a pretty easy selection. I thought he was the best player in the draft, to be honest with you. I've said that before. And, our hopes were to try to be able to acquire a free agent, and certainly that was Shaquille O'Neal. We were able to do that. And one of the things I said to Shaquille when we were talking, at that point in time, we could only talk, you couldn't meet with him, and we talked a lot, and I had never met him before. We got to be good friends over the phone, and it was amazing to talk about. The only thing I said to him, I don't believe that you ever say anything derogatory about a franchise. I think you have to extol the virtues of the ownership and also the people you're working with. You should never talk derogatory about another franchise. And, when players leave, they have the right to leave today. But at that point in time, it was much more easy, I think, to make deals because you didn't have agents involved. You didn't have players telling you where they wanted to go. At that point in time, people were pretty loyal. And it's completely changed. The landscape has changed. And, who wouldn't want to play for some of the teams in these leagues with these historic names over the years? And certainly the Lakers were one at that point in time. And to get Shaquille and to get a young puppy and Kobe Bryant, that was pretty special in one year.
Well, congrats, Jerry. Whether you had a large role or small role, you got two great players there and should be a fun time in Los Angeles. We always appreciate talking to you.
Good day and great to talk to you. My best.
That's Jerry West, Hall of Famer, the Clippers special consultant.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.